This stage is for underground artists, entrepreneurs, and game changers. The people you see selling CDs out of their trunks, hawking books on the side of the freeway, sacrificing time away from their kids, dumping their savings in their tanks and hitting the road. It's for the weirdos, trendsetters, alternative thinkers redefining the field with their alternative mindsets. Mike's Uncut is a movement. It's about passion, sacrifice, believing in yourself when no one else does. Mike's Uncut is for you. We all know who we are. And now, you will too. Welcome, Peoria. I'm your host, Ahavah Mauré, and this is Mike's Uncut. First, I'd like to take a minute to thank the Carver Center for allowing us into this newly renovated space. I'm very happy to be here. And I'm also happy to introduce our next guest. She's the first African-American makeup artist to lease her own studio in Peoria, Illinois. She's Trend Demi certified with over 10 years of experience in her belt in artistry. She provides services from an everyday full face look for individuals to providing services for entire bridal parties. And I can tell you from personal experience that her spirit is just as beautiful as she is. She is a true boss chick, okay? She's provided my makeup for all of season 2, but you don't have to take my word for it. She'll soon be launching her very own online course called Artistry Jumpstart. The purpose is to be a guidance and tool for the aspiring makeup artist, but she won't just be stopping at the basics. This will also serve as a need to know for those who are planning on taking this to the next level. I'm very happy to introduce Miss Lanisha Nazon, founder of Soft Glamour Beauty.
Hey girl.
Hey, thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm excited for you. This is great. This is great.
Thank you. And I'm excited for you, although I'm bitter about your move to Dallas. By the
I
time
gotta make bigger choices.
we air, you'll be gone.
Yeah, I will be.
So you were saying you're taking on bigger and some really fruitful opportunities.
Yeah, I wanted to move to Dallas because I feel like I've hit my ceiling here, and I want to grow to where I can do other things and bring it back to my city.
You had shared with me before that you felt that most of your support was from beyond Peoria.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you feel like that's the industry or the city?
I don't think it's just the city or the industry. It's just when you put yourself out there, social media is so big right now that you can reach so mmany people. And so I've used Instagram, I've used YouTube, I've used Facebook to reach people outside of my city so that I can kind of make a name for myself, so that I can become a little bit more bigger than what I am currently.
Wow, awesome. And I believe that nothing less will happen. You are incredible, and you're my favorite person to work with from day one all the way last year.
Well, I do have that effect on people.
You all do not understand the debut, Mike's Uncut debut, season 1, episode 1, featuring Louis Confliction.
Yeah.
You were there, Megan Riley. You were the first person that I ever worked with, and I could not have been more like it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And you were just this peace. You were calm. It didn't matter how crazy I was, girl, I was crazy. Everything was going wrong. People calling last minute for directions.
Yeah.
And you were just so supportive. You were so supportive, and you were patient because I'm on the phone doing everything. And you were so supportive, and you never made me feel rushed, or you were never improfessional. And I loved that because I was a person to you.
Yeah,
right?
I've learned that with the clients that I've worked with. I've worked with women who are getting married and they are freaking out.
Right.
And I'm usually the last person that they see before they walk through the doors.
That's
and
powerful.
So I've learned to keep them calm because you normally get more nervous when you're getting ready to walk down the aisle.
Yeah.
I've worked with women who are going to be walking on runways and they are freaking out. Yeah. And so I've learned to, if I'm calm, everyone else is calm. It's kind of like when you get on an airplane and you're looking at the flight attendant like, is she calm? Is everything calm?
Right.
If she's calm, then you're going to be calm.
Right.
So I've learned that from working with my clients.
Tell us about some of the notorious and prestigious people that you have trained with.
Oh my gosh. So Rennie Vasquez is probably my favorite person. I've taken a course with him. I've also trained with Tiana Robeson, Alexandra Butler, took in her class as well. There's quite a few people that I've taken some courses from just to kind of get more education. I don't know everything. And there's always somebody else who's better than me, and I'm always willing to learn from them. And so I've taken classes from people where I feel like I can learn and grow the most.
Absolutely. What are some tips that you have for someone aspiring or maybe in it right now but doesn't have good footing? How did you position yourself to have such incredible opportunities?
I would say put yourself out there and don't always look for likes to feed you.
You mean like YouTube subscriptions and
subscriptions, likes. We live on a world where everybody is like. How many likes did this picture get today? You don't want to feed off of that, because if they delete Instagram tomorrow, then what are you going to do?
Right.
So you want to make sure that you build relationships, and I'm big on relationships. When I meet people, I make sure that you remember who I am, because that person will remember me before a picture off of Instagram will. Everybody's scrolling on Instagram and they forget that picture. I don't even remember what I liked yesterday. And so it's big when you're coming into this industry is to be humble about it, build genuine relationships, and don't look for anything from anybody else. And if you're consistent and you continue to do that, you will grow. There's no other way but up from there.
I 100% agree with you. And it reminds me of that quote that people will forget what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
Yep.
And I can only speak for myself, but one of the other things that I loved about your services was that, I don't wear makeup every day. I definitely, I don't know all the tricks and everything, all the different foundation levels, colors, numbers. I'm not the one, right? I just knew how I wanted to come off. I knew I didn't want the glitter and 3-inch long eyelashes. To each their own. And what you're trying to do on the runway, you probably need that.
Right.
But that wasn't my look, and you didn't try to put that on me. You know what I'm saying? You didn't come at me with trends and try to pressure me. I remember one time I got my hair done, and the girl ended up with a donut on my forehead. I'm like, that was nowhere in any of the pictures that I showed you. She's like, oh, well, that's how Monet wears it. Is that the girl's name?
Janelle Monáe, yeah.
Yeah. What did that have to do with?
Yeah.
You
have to be a people person in this business.
Yeah.
And what I like to tell my clients is I like timeless over trends. Because when you look at makeup and you see someone who had their makeup done in the 80s, you know that's the 80s. But I want my makeup to transcend time. I don't want you to put a date on it. And so when I'm doing my clients' makeup, I always ask you, what do you like, what you don't like? What have you seen out there that you're scared of? And I kind of gauge your feeling off of that. And then I kind of put my spin on it, because my artistry is kind of true to me, and I don't want it to look like anybody else. I want someone to look at my picture and say, oh, okay, Lanisha did that.
What would be some of those signs?
I love a nice soft eye, skin-like application. I want your skin to still look like skin, and I love a bold lip. Those are my signatures right there. And all of my clients who come to me, I've marketed myself to a place where only those type of women come to me, because they know that's what I give. I don't show you the glitter. I don't show you the extra, even though I do it. But I'm very strategic about my marketing, and I know the type of woman that I want to work with, and so I market to her.
What are some horrible clients?
Ooh.
No names. What are some things that would have you exactly like, whoo, child? There's a door.
The emails that say how much you charge. No, hi, my name is such and such, and I'm looking for this time and this time and this time. It's just, how much do you charge? I already know off the top that when you ask me how much do you charge, 9 times out of 10 I may be too expensive for you, and you're just kind of fishing for numbers. You're not going to book with me anyway.
And let's go back to that. I witnessed you getting some stuff off your chest on Facebook. You don't like when people say that you're too expensive. Why is that?
I believe that anybody in business should know their value, and nobody can tell you how much you're worth. If you want to charge $200 a face, that is up to you. You can do that. And I feel that within the beauty community, sometimes people undercut each other to get that client and look booked and busy. But you actually want to look booked, but not too busy, because then you're running yourself into the ground. I've known people who've done 12, 15 girls in a day. You are hurting at the end of the day. If you price yourself accordingly, then you can maybe do half of that and still be able to do other things. And so I don't get offended, but people don't have the understanding and the knowledge of charging your value.
And it's also your expenses.
How
can
absolutely.
you charge $20 a face when
the foundation is $20 itself?
Right.
Yeah. You have to take into consideration, are you making a profit? Because if you're not making a profit, then you're doing a hobby. If you cannot live off of this, it's a hobby for you. And it's quite all right, because I still have my full-time job to this day, and I do makeup full-time. But if you're wanting to get yourself to a position where you're only doing what you love, and I love to do makeup, if you want to do that full-time, then you have to charge like you need to charge. You can't live off of $25 a face.
Not I.
No.
When did you decide to turn your hobby into a lucrative business?
So I started makeup in college, and I did it as a hobby then because I didn't know that you can live off of doing makeup. At that time frame, makeup was not a big deal. Nobody was really wearing it like that, and so I would do it on my sisters, I would do it on family members, and I would practice. And one of my aunts was like, "You are really good at this, you should start charging." And I'm like, charging for makeup? Maybe I will, right? And so I practiced a lot. I used to call friends over, "Hey, can I practice on you?" And I would start to get a little bit better to the point where girls from prom would hit me up and say, "Hey, can we come and get our makeup done for prom?" And so then I started charging. I did start pretty cheap then because I had no clue. I didn't have guidance. And so I would do makeup, and then I saw Rennie Vasquez when Instagram came out. And he was living the life, doing Gabrielle Union and flying here and flying there. And I'm like, where's his day job? Like, where does he actually work?
Right.
And come to find out that that's all he does. And he's living a great life of just doing makeup and nothing else.
Incredible.
And so I said, you know what? I actually love to do this. Let me pursue this a little bit more. And that's what I did.
What are some of the things that you've learned? If we looked at Neek 10 years ago to now, how would you say that you've grown as a professional? Some pitfalls that you might have fell into then, or just, you know, ignorance, being a novice in the field?
I think not to say that I'm being prideful about the situation, but I've always been professional from day one. And that's only because I've always heard the horror stories about dealing with people in business or small business, and then dealing with black women in business. And so I always wanted to fight against that stigma of what I've heard about us. And so when I would get someone, that's how I got a lot of my clients, to be honest. Someone would contact someone else, and they wouldn't respond quick enough, and they contact me, and I'm just like that. And they'll tell me, "Oh my gosh, you responded so quickly. I talked to such and such, and they didn't respond." And so I paid attention to that. And a lot of my clients grew from that because they would contact me, and I would be very quick about responding back. And so the only thing that I would say that I've learned is how to kind of keep my paper in order as far as like contracts and my licensing, and making sure I have how to pay myself correctly and all of that. I've learned a lot of that along the way, and how taxes are not fun, but you know, those are things that you need to take care of. I've learned a lot about the business back end. The makeup comes easy for me, but going through the business back end is probably what I learned the most.
And I imagine these are the types of topics that you're going to dive into with your artistry jumpstart.
Yes, I feel that when I started makeup, it was 2008. And there was no one to kind of tell me, okay, this is what you do. You need to have a contract when you're dealing with a bride. I didn't know any of that. And I kind of got messed up a little bit early on.
And when do you ask for the payment?
I used to get paid the day of, and you know that's a crazy day. And you're trying to scramble to get your money. A lot of people don't know that. And so I decided I wanted to help beginning and aspiring makeup artists, so that when they start their business, they start to go out there and advertise themselves, that they are very professional, they come off professional, and that they have an idea of not just how to do the makeup, but how to be professional and run the business as a business, because sometimes you can come off friendly. People can take advantage of that. And if you don't have the right contracts in place, the right verbiage in place, and you're not serious about what you're talking about, people will take advantage of you. And so I figured this program would help beginning makeup artists start with the right footing, start with the right information, so that they can get to where they need to be quicker than I did.
Absolutely. That's really humbling of you. We're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, Neek is going to give us a closer look at her process, and you might gain some really valuable tips. So stay tuned. Welcome back, Peoria. If you're just now joining us, I'm your host, Ahavah Mauré, and this is Mike's Uncut. I am here at the fabulous studio of Lanisha Nazon with Soft Glamour Beauty, and now we're going to take a closer look at her process. Come on. So, Neek, what process are we taking a look at today? How do you like to start?
I actually like to start with brows. Brows kind of shape the face a little bit better. It lets me see where the crease is. It lets me see where I will be highlighting and contouring. So I like to just start with the eyes first.
Okay. And you said eyes and lips were your two favorite things.
Yes.
Right?
Eyes and lips are my two favorite things. I also like the skin. I like the whole gist of makeup. But my signatures are the eyes, the lips, and the skin.
And what kind of look are we going for now, ultimately, when
I'm
she's all
freestyle.
done up? Oh, okay, okay.
Most of the time I freestyle. Because I'm using a model today, I'm just kind of go with how I'm feeling, but normally when I have a client, I ask them how they're feeling for today.
Okay. So just some tips for someone maybe who's not even aspiring to be an MUA. When you go in a store and you see 5 dozen, okay, just a line of foundations,
Right.
where do you even start? How do you match your skin? What about people who are kind of two-toned? Are you matching your neck, your face? What's going on?
I specialize in a lot of women of color. Although I can do everyone, I specialize in them. My first thing that I look at, or I suggest when you're going to a drugstore, is to look at your overall shade. 9 times out of 10, that shade will probably be on your chest.
Okay.
We tend to tan around our face and our arms. Your chest is the place that gets the less light, and it's the truest to your color. And so when you're looking for foundation, you want to test it in the center of your chest. And if you see a perfect match there, then you'll apply it on the face.
Okay.
Most women of color are darker, sometimes in the perimeter, sometimes their neck is darker, sometimes their face is darker.
And what's the perimeter?
The perimeter is the outside of the face.
Okay.
Kind of where the sun kind of hits around the outside.
Okay.
You're usually darker in those areas, and it kind of throws you off when you're looking at foundation.
Yeah.
The center of the chest is the area that is the truest to your color, and so when you're testing, always test the center.
Okay. Now, what if you can't afford the whole smorgasbord of treats? Is it safe to put on mascara and eyeshadow without putting on foundation? Can you get a right look that way?
There is no rules to makeup. Whatever makeup is for you, do that. Whatever is true to you, do that. So if you're a person that just doesn't like foundation, then there's no point in you buying it. If you don't like mascara, then there's no point in you buying it. If you don't like lipstick, there is no point in you buying it. The trends tell you that you need all of that, and you get away from your individuality when you follow a trend. And so if you feel like that does not work for you, then you don't have to use it.
Awesome. What's been your favorite trend in the history of MUA in your artistry? While you think about that, one that comes to mind for me, I wouldn't say it's my favorite, just one that stands out, most memorable, was a thick, very prominent lip liner.
90s.
Right? Yes. I love some 90s. Now I want to go put on some Groove Theory or something.
We are around the same way, because I love Janet's makeup in the 90s.
Yes.
Very classic, very clean. Loved her makeup. Her brows were very simple.
As you said, timeless.
Timeless. I loved her makeup in the 90s. She still kind of gets her makeup done the same way now. It's a little bit more on trend, but 90s makeup on Janet was everything.
Made a statement.
Absolutely. Timeless.
So, what's been your favorite trends?
So I'm gonna go back to the 80s. I actually like the 80s, and the reason why I like the 80s is because they were not afraid to use color. A lot of people nowadays is getting to color now. It's becoming more popular to use colors.
And it was separated, is that correct? Like it didn't have to match.
It didn't have to match.
Face would be totally isolated.
Yeah, you can
is that
do
a
like
staple
pink,
of 80s makeup?
Yeah, a lot of pink eyeshadows, purples on the eyes, bright colored lipsticks. I like the color because it was very freeing, and everybody was able to do their own thing with it.
Yeah.
So 80s makeup is definitely my favorite, even though I don't like trend makeup.
Okay, so do you have a goal celebrity whose face you would just love to have free will over?
Oprah.
Oh, yeah. Why?
If I can get Oprah, I'm in there.
Tell us about her featers that draw you in.
I like Oprah's face shape. She has really beautiful big eyes, and I love to do makeup on women who have really large eyelids because it gives me so much space to work with. I like the way that her makeup artist currently chisels her face, kind of slims her face out. So like the contour, the depth of her face, I like how he does that.
And how do you slim a face? Just like an overview. So that's not even something I would think to ask for, right?
So slimming a face, there's this thing called highlighting and contouring, and it's basically light and shadow. So you're playing with light and shadows. And so if you normally look at the face, in the center of the face is usually lighter, and around the perimeter, like I said, is darker. And so when you're doing the highlights, you always put the lighter shades in the center and the shadows on the outside. And so when you contour, you put the shadows on the cheek area, and it sucks the face, and it almost looks like the face is lifted and sucked in a little bit. So those are the two things that I like the most about probably Oprah. She's my girl.
Have you decided what kind of look you're going for, or are we still freestyling?
I'm probably going to do something smoky on the eye.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning towards blue because I've been feeling blue here lately.
I'd like to see how that turns out.
Probably a nude lip.
Okay.
But I'm going to play
That'd
the
be a
eyes up.
surprise. That's a curveball for us.
It is, right? I've been playing in a lot of color here lately. I normally don't play in color just because of the type of clientele that I have, but I don't want to restrict myself because I do love color on the lid, just like I love color on the lips.
Okay. And I noticed that you're using liquid foundation. Now, this could be my own limitation. Is powder a thing of the past, or what's going on?
Powder's not a thing of the past. I think powders are perfect for people who have perfect skin. You don't need too much.
You know, if you heard that, I guess you can go. And the rest of us will stay here.
If you need a little bit more coverage, if you have hyperpigmentation, any issues with the skin, liquids and creams are the best way to go to cover up any of those issues.
Now, what's hyperpigmentation?
Hyperpigmentation is basically discoloration, like acne scarring, things of that nature. If you have that and you want more coverage, then using a foundation will definitely help.
What are some difficulties that you've encountered or challenges with some of your clients as far as their skin, whether it's health, like you said, acne, or tone?
My biggest issue is that clients think that I'm an esthetician and I'm a makeup artist. There's a difference.
Okay. What is the key difference there?
Estheticians take care of the skin.
Okay.
All I'm doing is dealing with color.
Okay.
And so when someone comes to me and they have really dry skin and they haven't tended to that dry skin, it gets a little flaky, and they expect for me to take care of that.
Okay.
But that's not my expertise. And as a makeup artist with that doesn't have an esthetician license, I'm not supposed to do stuff like that anyway. And so I educate my girls on knowing, well, if you have dry skin, see an esthetician, maybe you can use a couple products that will work for you.
And making sure their artists have those licenses in their specialty.
Right, exactly. That would be the only thing, is dealing with a client not taking care of the skin the way that they should.
Well, you have already taught us so much. We're going to let you do you with this beautiful model, and you'll just have to catch up with us in just a minute to see how it all turns out. I'm Ahavah Mauré. This is Mike's Uncut, and you're here with the beautiful Lanisha Neek in her Soft Glamour studio, Soft Glamour Beauty Studio, first African-American makeup artist to lease a studio in Peoria, Illinois. Don't forget that. And if you're in Dallas, you're in for a wonderful surprise because she's going to take you by storm. Good night, Peoria.